Morning, everybody. How are we doing? Sammy, United People's TV. It might be a bank holiday in the UK, but I'm still here, and we're talking about the end of, well, not quite the end of the season. As Ten Hag said in his speech yesterday, there is one more game left, but Manchester United, we finished third in the Premier League. A hell of a, maybe not a hell of a season. How would you describe this season? Anyway, a lot of progress this season. Plenty. More is still needed. Absolutely. We're going to run through the game yesterday. We're going to speak about the result, the performance, individuals, and everything from that. We're going to speak about the latest on the Manchester United takeover after a little bit of an update on the weekend, after the Glazers had a meeting last Thursday. We're going to speak about the upcoming transfer window. We're going to speak about Harry Kane, Moises Caicedo, Kim as well from Napoli. Plenty to discuss there. We've got the Player of the Season awards. Player of the Season? End of season awards, including Player of the Season. That's happening tonight. We're going to be previewing that. I say it every show. It really is, but this is another busy one because there's so much to discuss. I'm going to get through it as quickly as I can. But look, good morning to everybody down here. Who's here? Let's have a look. Robert Taylor, you're there. Wayne Taylor. Oh, look, Robert and Wayne Taylor. Game of Beans, Carl, you're there. David Carroll on Facebook. Wayne Richardson there as well. Chetan, Carl. We've got Nima, Nick, Chaos, Bully, Julie, Alex, Josh, you're there as well. Fred, Ian, how you doing, buddy? Fatty, how you doing, man? Lots and lots of you joining in as always. But yeah, look, start the show off here. Man United finishing third. I said I didn't really care that much about us finishing third. You want to know the interesting thing about the financials? Man United finishing third instead of fourth means that we gain an extra £2 million in prize money, which counts towards that would pay the wage. That would pay the annual wages of a player on around about 85 grand a week. Just as an interesting fact and a comparison. Why is it sticking to my neck? Let's go back down there. Bit boring, but I thought I'd let you know. Finished third. I didn't really care whether we finished third or fourth, but I think we finished third we were in the top four by 8 points, I think, ahead of Liverpool. Happy days. From where we were last, and this is the thing. People are going to be, no doubt there's going to be people, oh, what are you celebrating third for, Sam? It's like, I can't be bothered to argue with people like that anymore. Like, you're not allowed to celebrate milestones en route to your ultimate goal. Like, if you had that sort of same mentality in life, you would really struggle to progress. Because you would never be where you wanted to be because you'd just be constantly pissed off. It's a bit weird. But anyway, yeah, Brian, just the 85 grand a week. I know. But Man United finishing third, top four done. Ten Hag's job was achieved. That was the main thing. And you want to know, look at this, right? This is what I mean about progress. Wow. That is a serious point swing. You can't even see Chelsea. I don't know. Chelsea like... and Liverpool as well. Both had absolutely woeful seasons, but sod them. Let's focus here. Manchester United, we had a 17-point swing on where we were last season. That, ladies and gentlemen, is progress. So, where did we finish last season in the Premier League? Is it 6th, 7th? Sod knows. It was a crap season, though. Fair play to Eddie Howe and fair play to Newcastle as well. Look at this. Let's get some stats up for the season. 38 games in the league, 123. Goals scored 58. Goals conceded 43. That's not too bad. When you look at those goals conceded, right, and you imagine that we conceded 13 in 2 games against City and Liverpool, that means we conceded 30 goals in 36 games. I know. Let's not just... You can't just ignore the bad games to make the stats better. But how would you... What grade would you give Erik Ten Hag's first Premier League season as Manchester United manager? What grade would you give it? A to F. You can add minuses and pluses in if you really want to confuse it. But given the expectations against what we all had going into this, my prediction for the season, I think I gave my prediction before we signed Casemiro and Anthony. I think I did. I predicted that we were going to finish 5th. We finished 3rd. So we've exceeded the expectations that I had. But I'll be interested to know where you all stand down in the comment. Andy, you're going for an A+. The only way we get an A+ is when Erik Ten Hag is there holding the Premier League trophy above his head. Robin Williams, you're going for a B. Carl, you're going for an A. Michael with a B+. Shekar, you're going for a C. John, B+. I reckon somewhere in the Bs. Somewhere in the Bs. Give it a B. Oh, actually, no, I can't remember what we gave it on the podcast. I can't remember at all. But he's had an absolutely fantastic first season. And there's a little video I want to pull up here, which I'm sure you've seen going around. I hope I don't get slapped down for copyright, because this deserves to be seen and shared. Ten Hag's speech at full time. By the way, I've seen, I can't be asked to speak about these trolls. The speech that happens at the end of every single season, regardless of where you finish. This is what Ten Hag said to the fans. A little rallying cry. I'm ready to go to war now, let alone these players.
There's still one game to go. So, and I'm sure that these players will give everything to beat Manchester City next week at Wembley. So, and we count on you as well. They will give everything. When you are in our back, I'm sure we have a really good chance to take the cup back to Old Trafford.
My manager. Got me G'd up. I'm sure it got you G'd up as well. You imagine that Spurs, Joker Club, really are, in terms of how they run anyway. They rejected him for a lack of charisma, and he's there with 75,000 people eating out the palm of his hand. Yeah, no charisma whatsoever. Good choice there, Spurs. But look, we don't need to speak about the FA Cup final yet. We've got a whole week. I'm going to have a build-up. We'll get that covered. All right? We're going to focus on the game yesterday, but Ten Hag is looking towards that final. We've beaten City already this season at Old Trafford. We got trounced away at the Etihad by City. We know how good they are. It could be the game that stops them winning the treble, and that should be motivation enough for any United player, because legacy really is potentially on the line on Saturday. Really, really is. Look at this. Look at this photo from yesterday. It's one of my favourite photos of the season. Bruno and Casemiro giving it the old in midair. What did you think about the game yesterday? I think it played out maybe not exactly how I expected it to, but Man United secured our top four status the game before against Chelsea, and we started off like we had just done that. We were poor against Fulham up until David De Gea saved that penalty. David De Gea saving a penalty, by the way. Really poor, really bad start. Just the goal we conceded, the way we were playing, it seemed like we were on holiday at that point already. Obviously, we improved after De Gea saved that penalty. Results are far more important than performances at this point in the season. We all know that. A little bit disappointed. It wasn't the best game, but it was an absolutely perfect result, I suppose. We go down here and make sure I don't miss what anybody's doing here. 1 second there. Let me open that. Oh man, it is Mr. Potato Man. Mr. Potato Man. Don't know why I just called you Mr. Potato Man, because you are a potato. How you doing, buddy? You just gifted 10 memberships. You are a legend. Everybody's a legend down here. I wonder how quick. I might reach the point this week where I can get all the members in to help me test the new software. That's going to be exciting. That really, really is. Thurston, how you doing, buddy, there? You've joined in as a member. I think I said it in my match reaction. I don't think I say it. I know I said it in my match reaction. I want to say thank you to every single one of you who tune in every day, who make this community what it is. I've had the privilege of covering United this season. It's nice to actually be covering United in a season where there are smiles at the end of it, where there are trophies at the end of it, where there are positive reasons to look back on the season we've just had and positive reasons to be excited about what's coming up next. So thank you all for making this what it is. I love doing it. We've been crap for 10 years and I've been doing it. So it's nice to actually be doing it when United are actually winning things. So big up to all of you. Make sure you drop a like on the video for the community. But yeah, I don't think it wasn't the best of games. It was an excellent response. And Man United, that home record, unbelievable. Didn't lose there since the first day of the season. That is such a fantastic record away at home. Away from home, slightly less good. And that needs to be worked on next season. But, you know, it's all about steps and progress. You can't possibly expect that Ten Hag's going to be doing that in his first season at Old Trafford and away, because if he did that, we would have won the league. But good steps in the right direction. Somebody who really has enjoyed the last few games of the season, it's Jadon Sancho. Finally getting a bit of consistent form. Last few games, he's been impacting games. Playing off the right-hand side there. Anthony, Ten Hag said that Anthony's going to be fit to, well, not that he's going to be fit. Anthony might be fit for the FA Cup final. And then you see him leaving Old Trafford, massive protective boot with crutches. Of course, remember Bruno Fernandes had crutches, had his foot up, was using a protective boot in the build-up to the Spurs game, and then played 2 90-minute games in the space of 5 days. What do you think about Jadon Sancho on that right wing? Really good goal. That's Caicedo, wrong photo. Really good goal from him. Poacher's finish, right place, right time, just a little toe poke. The sort of goals that your players should be scoring if you're in the right positions. He predicted it. He anticipated it. And it was a good goal. But Jadon Sancho on that right-hand side, if Anthony's not fit, do you expect Jadon to start there? I get the sneaking suspicion that if Anthony's not fit, we're going to be seeing Bruno Fernandes there. That's probably what I would predict. I'll run through that and I'll explain exactly why. I think you already know why, but I'll do that in my starting 11 video a little bit later in this week. Chris, you're saying Sancho looks a lot more comfortable and dangerous on that right. Chaos, you're saying the same thing. And Kevin, you're saying he was decent yesterday. He was decent. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching Jadon Sancho in these last few games. I'm sure he enjoyed it as well. Positively impacting the game. That's what wingers need to do, right? It's probably why some of you are frustrated about Anthony across the course of the season, but we are a far more dangerous and balanced team with Anthony in. Don't know whether Sancho will start, but I think he can be happy with how he played. Now, the Player of the Season awards, I'm going to, later in the show, you might have already seen it on TikTok and Instagram if you follow us there. I've given my Player of the Season rankings from the 5th to the 1st. I'll play that little video a little bit later in the show, so we preview the Player of the Season awards. Casemiro is right up there, easily in the top 3. And whether or not you choose him as your Player of the Season, that's up to you. But Casemiro and his family there. I'm computing in my head how long I wanted a defensive midfielder for, and I couldn't quite think about it because it was years. It was so long that I was begging for Manchester United to sign a defensive midfielder. Now, he's had wobbles this season, just like Manchester United have had wobbles, but he has been fantastic. And when he's on his level, there really isn't anybody who plays on his level yet. He really does raise it to another level. And I hope that that can continue next season. Oh, wow, down there, look. Mania, how you doing, buddy? You just man, his community. Mania, when you just gifted 10 memberships and Cahill. Oh, look at that. Awesome, man. You just gifted 5 memberships as well. I love seeing different names. And again. Legends, man. Everyone is legend. Look, exactly. Love this community, man. New names can look, man. If you're lucky enough to be gifted a membership, make sure you join our Telegram community chat. It's free. It's for you. It's a place to give this community a home outside of the live chat. And once we've built the new website, then it's gonna that'll be further down the line. Declan is saying we have Matic. Yeah, we have Matic, but we have Matic past Matic. I think it was maybe one season under Mourinho, maybe his first season, where Matic was like, oh, there he is, he's still there. But Matic's legs were gone, man. The guy couldn't run in midfield. I want to partner this bad boy with Caicedo. Matt, you're saying, look, that's a nice comment from Matt. I'm going to pull this one up, saying, big ups to you. It's been a hectic season. You've been the light to my evenings. You need to sort your lights out then. Watch you every night and love the debates and discussions. Can't wait for next season. Big up to you, Matt, even though you always ask weird questions at the end and sometimes you catch me out. Yeah, I've loved the privilege of being able to do this. It really is awesome. And I can't wait to continue doing it whilst we're actually winning things, which has started this season. And fingers crossed we just kick on next. Now, look, congratulations to David De Gea, who won the Golden Glove Award. That's him there with the team celebrating with his trophy. And is it? No, not that one there. This is what Ten Hag said after the game. He said, I already said it last time, so I'm repeating myself, but we want David De Gea to stay, and he wants to stay. We'll find a way of understanding. That's a curious one. Ten Hag saying that we'll find a way of understanding. Oh, well, it's not really that curious because De Gea would have signed a new contract if those terms had been agreed. So there must be something in there where De Gea is arm in and arm, whether it's the wages, whether it's the fact that it says that you're not guaranteed number one anymore. Who knows? But he hasn't quite signed it yet. But congratulations to Gea. And then yesterday, man, that penalty save was a top quality penalty save. Strong left hand down to his left. Really good penalty save. And I don't think the penalty was terrible. Well, it could have been better. Wasn't terrible. It was just a really good save. Now, Roy Keane, he's kind of in my category. I'm not desperate to look, right. Let's compare De Gea and Maguire. Maguire, I'm desperate for him to leave Manchester United. I want him to leave as soon as possible because I know it's the right thing to do. With David De Gea, I'm not there forcing him, shoving him out the door as quickly as possible. That would be massively disrespectful considering what he has done for this club, and he's just won the Golden Glove. However, I do think that he should be encouraged towards the exit. Now we're going to find out what happened. Look, there's a cracking little photo there. Martinez walking around the pitch at Old Trafford there with a chance of Argentina. He'll be back next season. I think Ten Hag said that he looks like he's going to be fit and ready for the preseason, which is big, big news. They're already talking, it's only 75 days to the Premier League. Mate, I am exhausted from covering United this season, let alone what these players must be thinking. It's been such a long season. And I think we only had, as a football club this season, I think we only had 5 midweeks off. That's how relentless the games were because, of course, of the World Cup. There's a super chat here from Jibat. Let me read this one out. Don't want to miss it. How you doing, buddy? You're saying, Ornstein said yesterday that Kane is likelier to stay at Spurs this summer than move. What do you think our realistic signings this summer will be? I'll speak about Harry Kane in a little bit. We're going to be moving on to a transfer conversation in a few minutes' time, Jibat, and then I'll be running through that with you all. One down there. I think I might. Oh, man, look at that. Garlic bread, man. And Mr. Potato. That could be the greatest collab in the world. Because we all know that garlic and potatoes go well together. Mr. Garlic bread, man. Just gifted 5 memberships. I want some garlic. I want some potatoes now. I'm hungry. Michael, you're saying the atmosphere was amazing last night. Only Barca had more atmosphere. Mate, the Liverpool game, I love that atmosphere. That was after we lost against Brighton and Brentford. Barca would have been something else. But next season, when the Champions League music is playing, yes, please. Yes, please. But let's move on to there's two big talking points that we still got to talk about. Number 1 is about transfers. Number 2 is about the takeover, and then we'll speak about the end of season player awards. All right. Let's speak about transfers first. We've had a great season. We've made a lot of progress. I think we can all, maybe there's some of you that disagree with me on this one, but I feel that Ten Hag, with what we have, I'm not sure we're going to have a more successful season than this season. Obviously, FA Cup dependent. We might finish this season with the squad that we've got with a domestic cup double and a top 4 finish. That's a great season compared to expectations. Is it a great season for Manchester United? With a season where Man United win the League Cup and the FA Cup and finish in the top 4, ever be considered in one of our top 5 seasons ever in the Premier League? No, it won't. Not until we've won the league. Not until we've won the Champions League. So the levels next season have got to really, they've got to be raised significantly. And the biggest way you do that is by getting your signings right. I did my video last week on the progress that we've made under Ten Hag. And one of the biggest things is we got the transfers correct. We started hitting more bullseyes instead of missing wildly. That's what's got to happen this summer. And let's speak about transfers now. D, you're saying not top 4, top 3. It sounds better. I don't think it does. It really, really doesn't. Top 4, top 3. I'm Potato. You're saying software idea, Sam. When someone gifts, you should have Cisco singing the Gong song. That's not catching on. I love you. The gongs have caught on, but there's no way we are getting a Cisco thong song remix. Hell no. Definitely not happening. Definitely not happening. Maybe it might happen. Probably will happen. But let's move on to see what Ten Hag said, because he said this, right? Let's go nice and full screen. We've seen it in the winter window. All the clubs made huge investments and we didn't. The clubs know if you want to play for the top 4 and compete in trophies in the league, then you have to invest. Otherwise, you don't have a chance because other clubs will do. That's basically Ten Hag saying how proud he is that his team managed to secure top 4 in a hyper-competitive Premier League without making the signings that we needed in January. Mate, we were begging for a striker in January. Wout Weghorst is who we got. You can laugh about it because him missing that goal towards the end, it didn't change anything, right? It didn't actually impact the game. But I was like, oh, man. As soon as Weghorst came on, I'm like, go on, man, get a goal in front of the Stretford end to finish it. How he didn't get that on target, I don't know. I've never seen a striker it's like he's allergic to scoring. Dean, how you doing, buddy? Let me try and give you a shout out. Leave your name. Let me know where you're watching from in the comments. But we didn't get what we needed in January, yet the objective for the season was still achieved. All credit to Ten Hag. All credit to the players. However, we need more if we're going to be competing in the Premier League, for the Premier League and the Champions League. And there's one player who is top of our list. It's Harry Kane. Now, it might not be top of your list, but certainly from how all these reports have gone so far, Harry Kane is top of United's list. I don't know whether we're going to sign him because I don't know whether Spurs will sell to us. I don't know how much he'd cost. I think we all pretty much agree. You're looking north of 100 million. Oh, you're pretty much looking bang on 100 million. Is that a lot of money for somebody who's going to be, was he 30? I think he's 30 in July. Let's have a look. Let me get my dates right. Yeah. Is 100 million a lot of dough for someone who's 30 in July with 1 year left on his contract? Yes. Is 100 million worth? I have no idea. Honestly, it's one of the most staggering stats of the season. How Harry Kane scored 30 goals in that Spurs team. He scored in 26 different games. Consistently, week in. Well, not literally week in, week out, but 26 of 38 games he scored in. Is it overpriced? It depends on what can you put a number on how valuable a player is that might win you a Premier League title? Because that's effectively what Kane potentially is. Because if he comes in and leads Manchester United to a Premier League title, you think anyone's going to remember how much he cost? Even if he cost 300 million? Nope. Nobody will give a crap. I'm set on Kane now. I've done my videos. Previously, I looked at Victor Osimhen. I understand the profiles and the differences. Does Osimhen offer more athleticism than Kane? Yes, he does. Does he offer... there are certain parts of his game that Osimhen offers that he's better at Kane at. However, Kane, man, 30 goals this season he scored in the Premier League, and that bang average Spurs team. I have no idea how he's done that. No idea. Imagine what he does with Bruno Fernandes, putting it on a plate for him 24/7. Nobody created more big chances in the Premier League this season than Bruno Fernandes. Nobody created more goal-scoring opportunities in the Premier League this season than Bruno Fernandes. You put that player behind Harry Kane, he scored 30 goals in that Spurs team, mate. The issue, of course, is Daniel Levy. The issue is dealing with Spurs. And the issue is around the price, which we might get offended by, we might get pissed off at, but ultimately, yeah, is it really going to change much in our lives? Not really. What we want is to win the Premier League, and we have to choose the players who are going to get us there. Harry Kane, for me, I've set on Harry Kane now. I'll be interested to see whether United follow through. Would I be upset if we signed Osimhen instead of Kane? No. Both would be very good signings. But Kane, I can't look at Kane and not think it's just a sure thing. Kane, for me, feels like an absolutely sure thing. Guaranteed 20-plus goals in the Premier League next season. Guaranteed to be a successful signing. Injuries dependent. And as I've shown, the injury record, the glass ankles Harry Kane is a Harry Kane of old. I'm going to see what you're saying down here in the comments. Jordan, you're saying he's not a 100 million player in my eyes. There are better. Such as? Let me know, Jordan. Sam, won't he go for a free the following season? He could do, of course, if he does stay at Spurs. And that Jibak, you mentioned it down there about David Ornstein saying it's more likely he stays. He may well stay. I think Harry Kane has shown the sort of loyalty that makes people question his ambitions. But you remember, loyalty is an important thing. And for some people, it's far more important than others. Saying that, he tried to join City, 2 years ago? And then it just about failed and he stayed, apologised, and then came back through. I think now's the time to go for Harry Kane, man. He would be overpriced, absolutely. But he would also be the striker that we're missing. Nick, how you doing, buddy? You're saying finally able to catch a stream live again for the first time in a few weeks. Thanks for all the content so far. It's been a joy. Loved Erik Ten Hag's rallying cry. Thank you very much, dude. Nice to see you again. And yeah, it has been an enjoyable season, man. It has been a really enjoyable season. I just can't wait to see what happens next. Now, alongside Harry Kane, when we talk about a striker department, we all know Ten Hag is looking for a world-class central midfielder. Speaking after Brighton's last game, De Zerbi, Brighton's manager, said, look, I'm pretty sure it's going to be the last game. I think it can be the last game for McAllister and Caicedo. I'm really sorry because they are two great players, but the policy of Brighton is like this. It is right that they can leave to play at a higher level. Now, in the same way that I feel like I'm pretty set on Harry Kane being my top choice for striker now. I'm also pretty set on Moises Caicedo being my personal choice for that midfield signing. That proper box-to-box player. Now, I've done my video showing my ideal summer transfer window. Brighton's manager there, De Zerbi, confirming that Caicedo is leaving. Now, McAllister, he's going to be going to Liverpool. He'll be a good signing, but not exactly the sort of signing one we need. Caicedo really is the true definition of a proper box-to-box midfielder. I'm not saying he is at the levels that Brian Robson was, but he's that sort of player. That player that really can just pile up and down the pitch constantly and influence the game. Caicedo, for me, is the signing I think we should be looking at from a midfield perspective. Can we afford him and Harry Kane? I don't know. We've got to sell well, and I've already done my video on that too. But for me, Caicedo, man, he would be the signing. And it's a different sort of way that I thought United were going to be going this summer. Because we all thought, if you had asked me a few months ago, how do you think Ten Hag will be approaching this summer? I would have been convinced that Ten Hag would be going for a Frankie de Jong type player, the deep-lying playmaker. However, And I think you kind of saw it against you saw it at the weekend. Sorry, against Fulham. Casemiro dropping into those positions and really being the player that looks up and kind of tries to dictate from deep. I think that's what would happen next season with Caicedo and Bruno Fernandes as the two midfielders working in front of him. The defensive work rate, Caicedo is everything that we need, in my opinion, in a midfielder. He's leaving Brighton. That's confirmed. I think United should be all over him. Now, Arsenal went in for Caicedo. Remember, they had a £70 million bid rejected for him in January. They're going to be going in for him again. We're seeing that Chelsea are quite fixed on Manuel Ugarte from Sporting as their new number 6. I don't really think they need like a box-to-box midfielder like we need Caicedo. So I don't think they'll be in for him. Arsenal, they could be in for him again. I think Arsenal are going to go for Declan Rice. And I think that'll be an incredible signing for Arsenal. But if that's Arsenal out of the equation, Liverpool won't have the money because they're going for McAllister and other people. Chelsea, if they're going to be going after Ugarte, I think United are going to have a really good run at Caicedo if we want him. But it depends whether we do. I don't know how we don't. I don't know how Ten Hag, I don't know how Man United would look at Caicedo and go, nah, we don't need him. Yes, we do. And I tell you what, how we used Eriksen against Fulham at the weekend is exactly how I think we should be using Eriksen. And probably would have used Eriksen this season had we signed Frenkie de Jong. Eriksen coming off the bench for the last 25, 30 minutes to see out a game, to control it. That's where Eriksen will thrive next season and be so good at it. He just doesn't have the legs to be that competitive, energetic midfielder. This guy does. Caicedo, I'm all over United signing Caicedo, and I really, really hope it happens. Imagine that, Caicedo and Kane. And then who knows who else, right? You've got Napoli's president has confirmed that Spalletti is going to be leaving. That's Napoli's manager. Kim, Man United, heavily linked with Kim. Newcastle, I think, are getting linked with him as well. If we move early, if we go... I think who did I compare it to? I think it was Nkunku from Leipzig. Chelsea paid slightly over Nkunku's release clause to get a deal done and signed sooner. United could do that with Napoli. We could go in and look, for example, we just earned an extra £2 million by finishing 3rd instead of 4th. Cool. Take that, add that onto the offer, give it to Napoli now saying, look, if you accept it, we're going to give you a little bit more than his release clause. We got a deal. You can get that signed and done. Because if he's going to leave in the start of July anyway, pay a little bit more, get it done sooner. It's worth it. And Kim would be a fantastic signing. I've done my video on next season and how I think there's going to be a little bit more responsibility on the deeper playmaking coming from our centre-backs rather than from the midfielder that drops in between. That's what I think. Lots of you talking about Gonzalo Ramos in the comments. What do you think about Mason Mount? Mason Mount for 50 million. I don't think Mason Mount would be a bad signing. In fact, I actually think it would probably be a good squad signing. However, 50 million, that's where I would have questions about spending 50 million on Mason Mount when he's got 1 year left on his deal. I wouldn't really have too many questions about spending 100 million on Harry Kane because I think he's going to make 100 million pounds worth of difference to this team. If he takes this from where we are in 3rd and we win the league with Harry Kane, it's worth even more than that. Mason Mount, I don't particularly think does that for 50 mil. I don't really think Chelsea are in the position to even argue that. They've got so many players in their squad, they just have to get money. I think Mount at the right price would be a good squad signing this year for Manchester United. I just don't know whether Chelsea would agree at that price. I'm not quite sure. Partib, you sent in a super chat. What are you saying? Everything is in favour of Kane to United, but I think considering long term, he's a bit too old. No, he's not. Harry Kane will be at an elite level for a minimum another 3 years because pace is not part of his game. This is a big thing, right? Normally, Premier League footballers, attackers, pace is such a huge part of their game that when they hit 30 and they lose a little bit of that pace, their influence goes downhill. Harry Kane doesn't. Never has. He's never been that guy to sit on the edge of the shoulder like Rashford does and run in behind. Nah, he plays totally differently. So when it comes to him being too old at nearly 30, it's not the case at all. If you get Harry Kane in for 3 to 4 years and you sign Evan Ferguson next summer, you've got Harry Kane for the next 3 years, and then you've got him mentoring Evan Ferguson for another couple of years before Evan Ferguson then steps in and all of a sudden is your striker for the best part of a decade. All I'm saying, you want to talk long-term planning? There's your long-term plan. Short-term and long-term. Anyway, it might not be Harry Kane. It might be someone else. Although I do really hope that it is going to be him. Sean, you're saying Mount's just so unnecessary. I wouldn't say he's unnecessary. He does fit the profile of Ten Hag, and I think he wants that attacker, that number 8, who can be the energetic alternative to Eriksen. And energy is important. Energy is not everything. Can't like run around like a headless chicken. But Mason Mount is a good, dependable midfielder. He's not really someone who's ever going to properly put in like 9 out of 10s. But I think Ten Hag looks at him and thinks, you know what? He could be like a midfield version of Dennis Irwin for Ten Hag. I think that's probably the way that he would look at it. Maybe that's being a little bit unfair to Dennis Irwin, who was one of the best penalty takers ever. But the reason I said that is because Dennis Irwin was always like a 7 out of 10 every week. Very, very reliable. Let's move on to the next. And let me see what you're saying about that. Ferguson needs to keep playing to develop, says Red G. That's why I'm saying another whole season at Brighton. And then comes to Manchester United. I'm not saying that we should sign him now. Kane and Thuram on a free. I've already mentioned that. You know what I would consider to be a very good summer. But of course, this summer, we know just everything depends on what's going on with the ownership. Let's speak about this. An update over the weekend that came from Mark Kleiman from Sky News. Now, Mark Kleiman was the journalist who originally broke the story of the Glazers and their intention to sell Manchester United. That's important because Mark's sources are clearly close. They're coming from the Glazer side. You know how Mike Keegan's stories, they're definitely all coming from the Qatari side of things. Mark Kleiman's clearly are going to be coming from somewhere close to the Glazers. Now, the report says that Ratcliffe remains in the lead. And that's been something that's been said quite regularly from pretty much all sources, even after the 4th bid from Sheikh Jassim. Rumours in this, I'll run through the article in a second. Rumours that there might be another 5th bid, that maybe that's what the Glazers are holding out for. Sod knows. Last week, we saw contrasting reports, one from ESPN saying nothing's going to happen until the end of the season, and then one from The Independent suggesting otherwise, and that something might be happening this weekend. Diddly squat happened this weekend when it comes to progress. This is what the article said. The Ineos billionaire Sir Jim Ratcliffe remains the leading candidate to buy Manchester United, despite an inconclusive board meeting last week. Sky News understands that the directors of the Premier League club held a meeting on Thursday to discuss the process. This is what it says. A source close to the auction said the directors did not opt to enter into exclusive negotiations with Ineos Sports or Sheikh Jassim. Right? So another weekend goes by, another meeting goes by with the Glazers, and they still can't make their mind up. So you might say technically nothing has changed, but there was another opportunity for the Glazers to make a decision on Thursday, another board meeting that happened with them and the directors, and they still didn't make their mind up. Now, something that I've kind of been thinking for a while, I'm not even sure. Now, this is just my gut. My gut, as I've shown across the course of running this channel, my gut is not always right. But it kind of feels like we might be getting, instead of, I think, what we've all been expecting at some point is for the announcement of a preferred bidder. Jim Ratcliffe or Sheikh Jassim has entered a period of exclusivity, blah, blah, blah. That's the statement that we've been expecting. But the longer it goes on, it almost feels like we might just skip that step and we might just get a deal. That the Glazers aren't going to go down an exclusive preferred bidder route, and that we might just get an announcement on a deal. I don't know. You can let me know what you think in the comments below. I know exactly what you think. Walter, you're saying I didn't expect it to happen sooner. If Jim was favourite, why haven't they entered an exclusivity yet? Andrew, it's a good question, but we would, again, this is definitely an assumption. It must be because they're hoping for something more, and that's what I mean. I can't see a logic to them delaying it anymore. Do they really think that they can squeeze another bid out of Sheikh Jassim? Maybe they do. Maybe they do. But according to Mark Kleiman, as I said, the journalist who originally broke the first story, Ratcliffe remains in the lead. The Glazers still won't make their mind up. So let's just see what happens this week, right? Let's see what happens this week. There's a super chat there from, where is it? Let me come read this one out. I'm going to tell you, how you doing, buddy? Legend, man. What are you saying? You're saying Kane is too old? Have people never heard of Benzema, Lewandowski, and Zlatan, even the Scrope Vardy? It's a nonsense. It's not necessarily a nonsense argument, because for certain players, age does catch up with them far quicker. I just don't think that logic applies to Harry Kane because of the style of play he has. It won't be an issue. It won't be an issue. Let me see what you're saying down here. Aloysius, you're saying you've got a gut feeling they won't sell. I don't have that. If you look at Manchester United's numbers, the books, the value of, they have to sell. Like, they can't sustain the ownership of Manchester United anymore. Their business model has reached a point where investment or sale is needed, and they can't get investment. They have to sell. Roy, you're saying, or Ray, you're saying Kane, Caicedo, and Kim. If we get those three players, we'll win the league. Well, I'll tell you what, we will be in significantly better condition. Ray, you're saying you believe it's all done and dusted. I don't think it's all done and dusted as well. Brian is saying, can we sign Ferguson and leave him at Brighton for a season to develop? Yeah, technically we could if we had the funds. We don't have the funds to be able to plan that far ahead, that far in advance anyway. Martin, you're saying Fulham are interested in Fred. I saw that video yesterday. What is it? Marco Silva speaking to Fred. I don't think Fred's leaving. I think Fred, especially next season when we will be playing with more of the aggressive attacking front press. We didn't do it enough this season. Fred's perfect at that. Really perfect. And if we're going to be playing with two advanced number 8s, he fits that setup so much more than sitting in a double pivot. So much more. But yeah, that's the update on the takeover. The Glazers. Whoa, surprise, surprise. Still haven't made a decision. Pull your finger out. Seriously. Pull your finger out. Let's move on to... I want to play my video now where I run through my player of the season nominations. I run through from 5 to number 1. You can let me know what you think in the comments below. Because tonight is the end of season player awards, which of course includes player of the season. You can let me know what you think, right? Manchester United's player of the season is announced on Monday. I'm going to run through my top 5 now. Number 1, you might disagree with, but this is mine. You can let me know yours in the comments. Coming in at number 5 is Luke Shaw. He's been incredible this season. The way he stepped in at left centre-back when Martinez was injured was absolutely outstanding. He's really developed into a leader this season. Also been great at left-back. Number 4 is Lisandro Martinez. The difference that he made to the aggression, to the feeling of our team when he came in, I thought the season was going to collapse when he got injured. That's how well Victor Lindelof played. Shout out to Lindelof and Varane. Not in this top 5 list, but both being fantastic. Coming in at number 3 is Bruno Fernandes. A man who's been relentless all season long. How he continues to play so many games of football, I will never understand. Nobody has contributed to more goals this season than Bruno. He is so influential, one of the best in the Premier League, but still for me, he only comes in at number 3. And number 2, can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm putting Marcus Rashford second. 30 goals he's scored so far for Manchester United this season. Still not got that clinical edge. Still so much more to give, but 30 goals from left wing effectively has been sensational. And I think you all know who my number 1 is right now. It's Casemiro. And it's just the whole package with Casemiro. The greatest compliment I can give to him is we look like a totally different team when he's not in there. He is head and shoulders above everybody else when he plays to his level. And he transforms this team when he does. Casemiro, for me, is my number 1 and my player of the season. Casemiro gets number 1 for me. I kind of surprised myself. But it's Casemiro. It is Casemiro. I'm going to put a poll up here. Player of the season. I'm going to do what I had as my top 4. So I apologize to Luke Shaw because he ain't making this list, right? We've got Casemiro, Rashford, Bruno, or Martinez. I'm putting that down as the poll that we can leave up for the last few minutes of the show. Oh, look at that, man. Alex, you legend. Gifting 10 memberships. I saw that you got your was it Red News signed by Ten Hag. What a hero. Big up to Alex and his dad, John, for watching and tuning in. Mate, hero. What an absolute hero. But yeah, for me, Casemiro gets my player of the season. Where is it? There's a photo of him over here. Let me pull this bad boy up. I still worry, even if we sign Caicedo, I still worry about how this midfield looks. We don't have an alternative to Casemiro. Now, if we sign Caicedo, I'd be pretty confident that he could step in and be an alternative to Casemiro. I haven't really seen him play in that position too often for Brighton. He's more of a box-to-box, but I reckon he's good enough to do it. But Casemiro gets my number 1. And yeah, Marcus Rashford, 30 goals so far this season. Could finish on 33 after a hat-trick in the FA Cup final. But yeah, let me see what you're saying now. Josh, you would give it to Bruno. Luke Shaw was defo in the top 5. He was in my top 5, but there's only 4 options I can put on this list. Bruno is by far the most influential player. Late resurgence of Wan-Bissaka. And this is the greatest compliment that we can all give to the work that Ten Hag has done, right? That there are genuinely multiple players that you could fairly argue should be Manchester United's player of the season. Instead of just looking to David De Gea and going, well, he's one player of the season again, because the rest of you are crap, which is what we had for years. So big up to Erik Ten Hag for helping change that mentality. But look, I know Luke Shaw's not in the poll because you can only have 4 options on YouTube. You can have a go at them for that. So that's why I did my top 4. Last few minutes of the show, you know what it is every single time. Ask me whatever you want. Can be about the football season, can be about anything. And also, please take a second to drop a like on the video. As I said multiple times, I'll say it one more time here. It has been a privilege to cover it this season. And I'm so excited for the season that's coming up. We're going to be having the new software that's going to be completely launched. And this interactive show is about to become 10 times more interactive. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about United, competing for the Premier League, competing for the Champions League. Jonathan, you're saying, are you going to Wembley? I've got a ticket, but I'm not sure I can actually go because of work, because of covering everything. The game is so important. A couple of people who would normally be working with me, they're not going to be able to work the game because they're not here. So I'm not sure, unfortunately. Dan Yeo, imagine that. When are you interviewing Ten Hag? That's got to be a bit of a goal of the channel, isn't it? Get Erik on at some point. Sort it in the next season. Problem is Manchester United. I'm sure it will continue to change slowly. Like if you've looked, I think United Stand and not United Stand, sorry. United View, actually United Stand as well. They've got press access. I had press access last pre-season tour actually. So the channels, independent channels like this, like United People's TV, are starting to get a little bit more of a working relationship with the club. But previously, I think they were just seen as threats and competition, whereas in reality, they can all work in unison and work together. Reggie's saying, how many new players do you think we need this transfer window? I think we need 2 strikers, a central midfielder, a centre-back. I think we need at least 4. And probably 5. I think we need a young goalkeeper to... If De Gea is going to be staying, then I think we should be needing a young goalkeeper, not someone like Tom Heaton or somebody who just sits alongside him and goes, oh, well, not really challenging him, like a young keeper who really wants that number 1 spot. That's why I think so. What do you think of Palistri's cameo, says Ashwin? Good question. Mate, Palistri's cameos all season long have been pretty impressive, no? I think he can feel a little bit hard done by in the severe lack of minutes he's got. I imagine we're looking at a full season loan for Palistri next season. I think so. I think that's going to be the case. Maybe it's Sunderland. Maybe bring Ahmad back and put Palistri there. Although they are kind of different types of players. Been a crazy season, says David, mate. It has been an absolutely crazy season. Let's go see what else he's saying down here in the comments. Lautaro Martinez, I saw that. Would be a good striker, but if you're going to be spending 75 million on Martinez, and you probably would be spending around that much, I'd spend a little bit more and get Harry Kane. What will the capacity of the new or revamped stadium be, says John? No idea. You would hope that it goes north of 80. If it's going to be, well, it should just be going north of 80. But sod knows what's going on in that. What else is he saying down there? Oh, yeah. Who am I kidding, man? Ladies and gents, as if I've only remembered this in the 50th minute of the show. We're giving away a pair of FA Cup final tickets. How did I forget to mention that? I'm an absolute whopper. Let me pull this up down here. Actually, I haven't got the link. I've got the link here. The draw is completely free to enter for UK and Ireland residents. All you got to do is fill out a form. Name, not even address, name, email, boom, done. The winner, I'm going to announce it tomorrow on the show. Hell yeah. Andy saying, thank you for your warm welcome to the community, mate. Thank you for being part of it, man. There's someone else joining us. Let me quickly read this one out. Hassan, nice to see you there, buddy. Nice to see you there. But look, I'm going to wrap this one up for today. Just like Man United and Ten Hag wrapped up the Premier League season yesterday. 3rd place finish, top 4 secured, League Cup done. And I'm going to finish. Actually, no, I won't finish because it might get shut down for copyright. Ten Hag's speech, the rallying cry, FA Cup final on Saturday. It's a big, we've one more game remaining. And then the most exhausting of seasons is finished. And we can wrap it up and we can focus on the summer. The ironic thing about the fact that the football is over is that the summer's going to be even busier. Far less predictable. There's going to be live streams and live shows all over the shop. We'll still be doing our 10 a.m. morning shows, but it's going to be different. It's going to be a busy summer. So make sure you subscribe. Big up to everybody. Big up to everybody who donated and gifted to the community, who commented, who got involved. I'll see you tomorrow. I might do a lunchtime video. I might not because it is bank holiday here in the UK. I might, have an afternoon off. It's a rarity. But big up to all of you. Much love. Take it easy.